I guess the first and easiest story to write about would be the one I know personally firsthand. For that we must travel back to 1994 and a visit to the park with my now ex-wife. We both loved going for walkabouts in nature, and the Forks of the Credit was always close to me, living in Brampton, but without a car I could not get there by myself. The weather was decent when we went to the park, there were some clouds in the sky but nothing substantial, it was a typical summer day. We walked one of the longer trails through the park and I think we were at the railroad bridge when the clouds suddenly started rolling in. A storm was brewing, and we decided we needed to head back to the car, parked at the main entrance. I was, as they say, an empath, and with a couple other incidents with the paranormal I could feel the electricity building in the air. As the rain started to fall it became increasingly hard to figure out where we were in the park. I think we went the wrong way and found ourselves at least a kilometer or two from the parking lot with no signage or markers to guide us. The storm, which had won out of nowhere, was raging by this point. The thunder and lightning was intense and the rain was falling in heavy sheets reducing visibility to only about 100 meters. It was intense, and not knowing the terrain or where to go left us both quite disoriented. This storm, while common in the area, still did not feel normal. It came out of nowhere, and raged with a ferocious intensity. We knew we had to get out of it and into the safety of the car. I could not see anything really, thanks to wearing glasses, so I was dependent on looking for familiar landmarks that might help take us back to civilization. The terrain is rolling hills filled with trees and long grasses. The open areas, normally a brief relief from the mosquitoes of the forest, had turned into a mixing bowl of wind, rain and small debris of leaves and twigs. We stopped at one point trying to get our bearings. It was then that I noticed some old telephone poles along a track-bare path. I knew, growing up in small-town Ontario, that many farms had their phone and electricity running on the roadway to the farmhouse or, at the very least, a barns. I knew that, even if it took us out to the main road, this would lead us onto more solid ground. We followed the path, and after what seemed like half an hour, but was more likely about 10 minutes, we got close enough to recognize a trail we had taken into the park. In a couple minutes we were back at the car safe from the storm. During the storm and once we had reached the safety of the car, we both agreed this storm felt almost demonic in nature. If one could be the target of a malevolent paranormally charged storm I would question if this were not indeed one of these storms. We were alone in the park, the parking lot was deserted, and there was no indication ahead of time that this storm was even coming. It waited until we were the furthest from the car before it hit, and raged with such intensity that we were lucky to find our way back safely. Honestly, I do not know. But like I said, combined with everything else that has happened in this area over the years, the idea of negatively charged paranormal activity would not be a stretch.